Karen Bass has lost her goddamn mind. She has. Or she's compromised. One of the two. Or it could be both. She could be acting out of the point where she's so scared to where she's lost her mind. Or she could be acting where she's compromised and somebody's calling the shots behind her and she has to follow suit.
It's clearly her.
Anytime you step up before the American people and you say that you're going to give taxpayer money to undocumented migrants, and we are not in the middle of a pandemic, we're not in the middle of an act of God, no earthquakes, no nothing, you have lost your fucking mind or you are compromised.
She lost her mind.
This doesn't make any goddamn sense. Now, Karen Bass would be part of a party if it was the Marxist Party or the Communistic Party. Well, we know this Democratic Party is damn near up 2 breaths away from being a communist party. But that's just who Karen Bass is. But you can't tell me that this woman is not compromised, that she's not compromised. She is compromised. She said it with her whole chest in front of all of America, California, that she is going to give taxpayer money to undocumented migrants. That is fucking insane.
When I heard this news about the cash payments, I thought this cannot possibly be true. But then on reflection, I thought, of course it's true, because California already provides the most generous benefits for illegal immigrants of any state by far. Newsom has driven Medicaid insolvent by giving out free comprehensive benefits for everyone. And now Bass is giving out these free cash cards. And apparently one of the ways you can get one is if you're too afraid to go into work. Well, number one, this fear, to the extent that it exists, is largely driven by Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, who have purposely incited fear and driven these rioters into a state of frenzy. But number two, if we say that if you're too afraid to go to work, you get free cash payments, I think that all of a sudden we're going to find there are a lot more people who are suddenly too afraid to go into work. But the real kicker in all this is that Karen Bass has chosen, of all groups, Churla to distribute the cards. Now, remember, this is the group that got $34 million in funding and then played a central role in organizing the riots.
We have been able to purchase an 83,000 square foot building with an investment from the state of California. So the state of California has actually provided Churla with a $20 million grant, an infrastructure grant that was supported by Senator Maria Elena Durazo, the Speaker of the Assembly at that time, Rendon, Senate Pro Tem Tony Atkins, and also the Governor, Gavin Newsom.
What? Losing $20 billion. That's what's happening in California this week, where under Gavin Newsom's watch, the state spent $20 billion over the last 5 years to combat homelessness. And the number of homeless people increased. So when auditors asked to see where the money was spent, no one had any idea.
What? Immigration and Customs Enforcement confirms that more than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
I'm Mayor Basshole. I hate America. I love illegals. I will now give them money. I take it from Whitey and give to them.
Good evening, America. Unless you're watching from California, then maybe not so good. Just kidding. Sort of, it's your favorite president, some say the best ever. And tonight, I've got a few things to say. So grab your popcorn, turn off the fake news, and let's talk about what's really going on. It's going to be good, really good.
She's working on handing out cash cards to immigrants that need to hide from ICE.
We also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID, that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you know, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash.
What?
We're organizing food deliveries. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we are having to do now to protect people. from the federal government.
Which is insane to start handing out hundreds of dollars to individuals, as I have no idea how they could verify or even track this, already on top of her billion-dollar budget deficit. But what's worse is who she's having distribute the funds.
But number two, if we say that if you're too afraid to go to work, you get free cash payments, I think that all of a sudden we're going to find there are a lot more people who are suddenly too afraid to go into work. But the real kicker in all this is that Karen Bass has chosen, of all groups, Chirla to distribute the card.
As she's been seen alongside this Chirla group, where I only know about them when those guys that attacked the feds in Van Nuys with an improvised spike strip were found carrying a bag from that same Chirla group. And even far-left Reddit is calling out these cash cards, with the top comment saying Chirla receives nearly $34 million from the state of California, as it's still taxpayer dollars that someone else gets to skim off the top first. But as Tim Pool suggests, this may actually be treason.
On this show, I often refrain and I argue as hard as possible that people are not committing treason. They say, oh, you know, that Democrat did this or that lawyer committed treason. And I'm like, no, treason is adhering to the enemies of the United States. What most people are referring to with like Comey and these investigations is sedition. Mayor Karen Bass has announced that she will be partnering with private individuals to give money to illegal immigrants that are here illegally and that are currently trying to evade federal law enforcement. Now, Trump has already declared an invasion. He has targeted these marijuana farms. Strong likelihood that there is an overlap between these narco gangs, these cartels, and now we're hearing Karen Bass says she's going to give them cash, quite literally to the letter of the law. That is treason.
And he's not wrong, as Tim cited the U.S. Code for treason, since a U.S. mayor should owe allegiance to America, but is now giving its enemies aid and comfort within the U.S.
There's a good chance I may have committed some light treason.
Now, normally you wouldn't see a president imprison a mayor, but you also don't normally have mayors dishing out taxpayer dollars to criminals hiding from federal law enforcement, as Mayor Karen is just under the impression that Trump is too scared to go after her, as she flaunts funneling my money to people that say they're too scared to go to work. And what's worse is she's just activating an old cash assistance program that during the lockdowns would give non-citizens $600 cash, as that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of taxpayer-funded benefits. So if it takes sending a mayor to prison to finally stop this nonsense, I'm all for it, as she's out there signing executive orders to stop Trump's deportations.
I just wanted to celebrate National Horse Day and my new book, pre-order at the link. But then everyone from the Palisades is like, Spencer, you gotta make a post. Senate Bill 549 just passed. Obviously, I'm no genius. Okay, we know that. And I'm just, dealing with my own issues. I had to go to ChatGPT Pro, which gave me some very suspect answers. So then I went to Gronk 4 Heavy, asked my 4 agents. Long story short, let me just start skimming. The California Senate has passed SB 549, granting LA County authority to purchase fire-destroyed lots for minimal costs and convert them into low-income housing, directly contradicting Mr. Gavin Newsom's previous assurance to homeowners that such government-driven property conversions wouldn't happen. It enables cities and counties to allocate property taxes to infrastructure districts from January 2026, mandating 40% affordable housing. It authorizes LA County to create a resilient rebuilding authority. There's so much information. It strips local control, creates a county authority that overrides city community decisions on rebuilding after the wildfires, centralizing power away from locals. An example, the Pacific Palisades input ignored. Enables rezoning without input, allows rezoning for resilient, that's what it's called, projects like infill housing, transit without full resident approval, displacement risk. Authority can buy land bank properties, offering first look to originals, but if unaffordable families lose homes forever, forces low-income housing mandates seen as unconstitutional takings by critics, overdevelopment dangers, pushes dense reconstruction and economies of scale, potentially overcrowding neighborhoods, straining infrastructure, and all the. I don't know what honestly, this all says, but let me tell you my takeaway from this bill and why I don't even need to keep reading. The people that are in charge of this bill, they're the people in charge of letting the whole town burn down, okay? You can say whatever you want, but all their decisions, all their negligence, all that's why we have no town in the Palisades. Why would we ever have them in charge of rebuilding what they let burn down? So let me know in the comments section. Let's keep it again, I don't even think this is political. This is just like a common sense post. The people that let that town burn down shouldn't be in charge of rebuilding it, right? Am I missing something? I mean, I got so many things. It's just like, I could keep going. I like the hashtags that Gronk 4 came up. Stop SB 549. Hashtag protect local control. That's what I'm focusing on. Local control.
Flashback.
I am sick and tired of hearing about how wonderful the transportation system is in France and Japan, and have you been to Shanghai, or do you know what they're doing in Beijing? Well, finally, California is going to get it right with this new high-speed rail, and that northern terminus will happen here. And this project,
2,000 years later,
in California, a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost. And they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth. It's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project.
So California Governor Gavin Newsom is pretty hilariously fuming tonight after the Trump administration has just announced it will be finally shutting down and pulling the plug on, frankly, what is one of the most naked and ridiculous instances of government corruption, embezzlement, and just sheer incompetence in modern American history. Frankly, I think this whole thing is an underrated scandal that ought to weigh heavily on Newsom's future 2028 presidential campaign, and that is exactly the infamous California high-speed rail project. Essentially, it's this idea that you've now heard about for decades to build a bullet train from the city of Los Angeles to San Francisco. Here, essentially, what has gone wrong with the California high-speed rail, and it's the purest form of, you look at something like USAID, right? The way in which money essentially gets embezzled from government dollars to shady non-government organizations. These contracts, very little gets done. The goals they're trying to achieve are quite mystifying. I mean, to give you a little bit of perspective here, the initial ballot proposition in 2008 set $10 billion, which is at the time all they thought they had needed to build. And again, a high-speed rail here from California, from LA, I should say, to San Francisco. The price tag then, guys, went up from $33 billion to now $135 billion. There's absolutely no completion date in sight. All they have built is essentially, they're about to finish right now, a train that would connect not LA to San Francisco, obviously, after about a decade, but Merced to Bakersfield.
What?
And for those of you who don't know the area, we're basically talking about two places in the middle of California's Central Valley. It is more or less a desert that are sparsely populated and, not really all that far from each other. Let me just say, I'm not exactly sure a lot of international tourists are clamoring from all around the world to go to California to take, the bullet train from nowhere to nowhere. No offense to those places, okay? We love the Central Valley, but we obviously know what we're saying here. And just for context there, you could give every single LA and San Francisco resident almost 200 free flights in total, right, for that much money. So, kind of begging the question, what is even the point at this level of building the train? And the Department of Transportation has apparently put together a very nice video that explains this issue even better than I can. So here, for those of you who are not familiar, is the issue, the struggle with California's high-speed rail, which you really understand, right? What's happening here? Shady government contracts and contractors are basically embezzling that money, and we know how it goes. But take a listen.
the estimated costs that have shot up from $33 billion to $43 billion.
The project is estimated to cost $68 billion.
A new report shows California's high-speed rail project is costing taxpayers more than $3 million a day. The LA Times reports the budget has grown to $77 billion.
The cost for the project, though, has jumped to nearly $128 billion, much higher than the $33 billion voters approved in 2008.
The project is no longer a $33 billion project. The project's years and years behind. The project's wildly over budget. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea, but it is a bad idea not to be truthful about things.
Gavin Newsom is a bad idea, and so is California's high-speed rail boondoggle. It's now projected to cost $135 billion. For that price tag, we could give every single resident of LA and San Francisco almost 200 free flights. This is the definition of government incompetence and possibly corruption. That's why we're pulling the plug. No more federal funds for this high-speed train to nowhere. President Trump and I won't help Gavin Newsom waste your money.
Mayor Bass, this is kind of more of a broader national question. Reports indicate that ICE agents and police officers in Texas have been targeted in ambushes, including in Alvarado, where assailants in tactical gear allegedly lured officers with fireworks before opening fire. Given your strong opposition to federal immigration enforcement actions in Los Angeles, how would you address similar escalations of violence against law enforcement in Texas? And what steps would you propose to prevent such unrest from spreading to Los Angeles, while balancing community safety and your sanctuary city policies?
Well, let me just say that the quote-unquote riots that were reported never happened. We did have a couple of incidences of vandalism and looting, but the way it was portrayed nationally was like the whole city was up in flames. The comparison to 1992, which was completely 100% inappropriate. And I think the example that you use, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it. It was from some other state.
Yes,
but,
Texas.
yeah,
11.
I have no idea what happened in Texas. What I do know is what happened in Los Angeles.
11 people were
happening in Los Angeles has been completely.
Mayor, 11 people were arrested for trying to attack ICE agents and federal law enforcement. So I was just trying to get your perspective on how you're going to contain the situation here in Los Angeles and the unrest.
I can't respond in Texas.
Okay. Thank you.
What?
It's like this self-feeding loop, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And in this case, it goes even one step further, because this general problem is these public dollars are being used to promote democratic causes, which result in bad policies, which result in cities like Los Angeles or New York having more crime and everything that comes with those policies. But here, they take it a step further, and the public dollars are themselves being used in order to facilitate criminal activity like we saw in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so then they burn down the city, organizing themselves with our money, and then they go back and go, hey, can you help us rebuild what we just burnt down? I mean, it's all so insane. I'm really glad there's some common sense people.
The people that are shooting at the cop, throwing the bricks, they should stop the cars immediately and arrest them all.
This is how backwards the mindset is in California.
When it's time to go, you can choose how. You can wait for enforcement, or you can leave on your terms. The CBP Home app lets you self-deport with dignity, directly, and securely. Don't wait. Decide how it ends.
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do?
I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do? we didn't need the National Guard, why on earth, what are they going to do?
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Do you believe deploying the military to conduct law enforcement on U.S. soil is legal?
Look, we have to make certain that we protect American cities. If not for President Trump, Los Angeles would be burning right now. We had 6 ICE agents that were totally in fear of their life because local officials, an incompetent mayor, a grossly incompetent governor, refused to do their job.
Is there anything you would not find acceptable for the U.S. military to do on U.S. soil?
Look, President Trump understands what the Constitution is. He understands what the laws are. We have to protect our cities. We have to protect our ICE agents. We have to protect our federal buildings. And Gavin Newsom should maybe get off Twitter and start actually going down to L.A. and protecting his own citizens.
The courts have ruled on the Guard. They will be back under my command.
A few moments later.
Okay, why is Trump back in control of the National Guard, you guys? What the hell is going on? First I lose my pool boy Roberto, and now this? I seriously need a mani-pedi right now. A bottle of wine, cherry ice cream, and a whole season of Will and Grace. Fuck this politics thingy.
What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam. They're importing voters. It's easy to understand if you look at basic incentives. The basic incentive here is the more illegals that the Democrats can bring in, the more likely they are to win. So that's what they're going to do. That's what they have been doing, and it worked in California. California's supermajority Dem. And look at all the companies that are leaving California.
Yeah.
I mean, In-N-Out just announced they're leaving.
Yep.
Their headquarters leaving California.
They're moving to Tennessee.
A 4th day of rallies and protests on the streets of Los Angeles.
It was a peaceful rally. What is going on right now is also peaceful.
Here we are expecting rallies later on.
When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger. In Los Angeles, there is a new crowd of protesters that has been building.
CNN had it that these were rallies. Now they've become protests. I'm afraid that by tonight they become riots. If we don't have the ability to stand up and stop this violence before it consumes a great city like Los Angeles, then there's no telling where this could spread.
Are hardworking, good people, and they're the backbone of our city, and they should have access to all the things that we have access to. And I just don't think they understand that it's a political pawn. I don't think they understand
It's a political game.
This is not done for compassion and kindness.
No.
This is just done to ensure that it stays blue.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's essentially a bribery with your tax dollars.
Yes, this is why the Dems will not even deport criminals.
Yeah.
Because every criminal deported is a lost vote.